Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salams, where you from? All that good stuff. If you're tuning in later, just forward to when we begin. The score, I don't know the score right now. Whether we've hit our number. Yesterday we hit our number. So the score is 4-3. Score is 4-3. The score is 4-3. Do we hit the number first or do we hit the top of the hour first? I don't know. Khadija in India, wa alaikum assalam. Hawa, welcome back. Hawa, wa alaikum assalam. Wasifa, wa alaikum assalam. Sophia in London, wa alaikum assalam. Ya ahlan wa sahlan. Nurin in Bangladesh, wa alaikum assalam. I was just reading about Bangladesh today. Bangladesh. Gohar in Pakistan, wa alaikum assalam. Aisha in Seattle, wa alaikum assalam. Ruqayya in Nigeria, wa alaikum assalam. Mel Mesa in France, wa alaikum assalam. Rahila in Dubai, wa alaikum assalam. Will we hit the number? Or there was Fairuz in South Africa. It says Sepam. Nubero, alaikum assalam. Somebody asked about a wig. Well, let's get to question and answers later, inshallah ta'ala. Now's not the time because people are saying salam at rapid pace. We're going to start in 1 minute. Dina, happy Ramadan from Oregon. Wa alaikum assalam. Inshallah, when Ramadan starts then. Alaikum assalam, Malaysia. Whoever is Noura Muhammad in Malaysia. Alaikum assalam. Abu Dhabi. Wa alaikum assalam. You got Denmark there, but I missed who it was. Asma in Denmark. Fatima, South Africa. And then Nigeria. Wa alaikum assalam. Natalia in Corona, California. Zahra, alaikum assalam. Patricia, alaikum assalam. We're at 86. Mi'raj in Rayan, Isra, Mahira, Nabiha, Nazia. Missed you for a while. Where you been, bro? Zulaykha in Nigeria, alaikum assalam. Naila in UK, alaikum assalam. Hamida in London, alaikum assalam. Milgo, alaikum assalam. Iram, alaikum assalam. We're almost at 100 and there's 1 minute left. So if you could share with your friends, that would be great. That would be appreciated so we can get to our number. Otherwise the score is 4-3 now. Do I need to put clickbait? A man went fishing with his son to find out what happens next. Press the share button. It's called clickbait. Suzanne Gandour in Morocco, alaikum assalam. Jazakallah khairan asma. Muhammad Hussein Mudir from Sri Lanka, alaikum assalam. Hola, Riza. Hola. Yes, that's the way we should be saying it. Hola. All right, we hit 100 and we hit the top of the hour, so let's call it a tie. Take one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wala amma ba'd. Okay, so today we're talking about Allah's intentions. Allah's intentions. My daughter, when she was a crawling baby, there was this incident in which she was stuck up against the couch, and she fell between the couch pillows, and she couldn't get up, and it was actually a really dangerous situation. Alhamdulillah, I was sitting right there, and I gave her a moment to try to figure out how to do it herself. She couldn't get out, and she was kind of like choking with these pillows on top of her, and then I pulled her out of that corner with the couches. So then she did this thing where she looked at the couch with like scared and angry at the couch. And I'm thinking to myself, all these years, I'm thinking to myself, couch didn't do that to you. But for the next few days, she would always walk by the couch and she would she's angry at the couch. And this, for me, it was an early example of causation doesn't correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because she was there and she looked at the couch isn't what did it. It was her actions. Now, I'm starting that off right off the bat because I hear this a lot where people, something happens to them and they want to know Allah's intentions. So as soon as something takes place, whether it's virus, pandemic, situations in their life, they miss a bus and they go and start dwelling in this question of what is Allah's intentions? And then they don't even ask that question. They literally just answer it. So to give you an example, let's suppose somebody was, if somebody was going to Quran class for the first time, and you guys tell me in the comments, what does this mean? I'll give you a few moments to answer this after I tell you. Person's going to a Quran class for the first time. It's their first class. And they walk to the bus station. And when they get to the bus station, the bus has departed. And the next bus is not coming for the next 2 hours. And they have missed the Quran class. What does this mean? What does this mean? I'll give you a few seconds for that. What does that mean? Somebody goes to the bus station. I'd like to hear your comments. Somebody goes to the bus station. They're going to a Quran class for a first time. And they miss the bus. And the next bus is only coming in 2 hours. And there's no way they're going to make it in time for the Quran class. What does it mean? Asma says, this means that it was Allah's qadr. For sure, it's Allah's qadr. But what does it mean? What does it mean? Zaburdi says they needed to leave earlier. That's what it means. Asma says some may say, now we're getting good here. Asma says some may say they're being punished. Okay, Zahra says it wasn't good for her to go at that time. So it's interesting. These two comments, one after the other. Asma says the conclusion was she's being punished, and the second person says that the Quran class wasn't good. Somebody says it means you should go earlier. So Naila says Allah didn't want you to go. So I love this. I love this because you guys are showing exactly what I'm talking about. We don't know. Everybody just makes bakwas up. We just make stuff up. And that's why when I hear people say, hey, you know what? I made dua and that bus of dua didn't show up. That means I'm a bad person. Allah's punished me. Allah doesn't want me to. That means this thing isn't good for me. I should be staying away from it. That means, you know what? It may just mean that they need to wake up earlier and get to the bus station on time. That could be the meaning. It's just as simple as that. So there's a statement. There's a statement that I put on my Facebook page a long time ago, and every time Facebook reminds me about that post, I always repost it because I love it. It says everything happens for a reason and a purpose, and sometimes that reason is you're dumb. You're dumb. That's it. That's just the reason. Just right there. You're just dumb. So let me talk about I'm going to talk about not speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge, or speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with no knowledge. So first off, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولا تقف ما ليس لك به علم إن السمع والبصر والفؤاد كل أولئك كان عنه مسؤولا. So first off, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, don't make claims of Allah that which you don't know. You don't know. And who knows who can claim something of Allah's intentions? Nobody knows that. وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ. And never concern yourself with anything of which you don't have any knowledge. This is in the Quran. Don't concern yourself with something that you don't have knowledge of. إِنَّ السَّمْعَ. Verily your hearing, your sight, and your heart, كُلُّ أُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. All of that is going to be held accountable on the Day of Judgment, saying about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that which we don't know. And what's interesting, actually, I'm talking about making claims against Allah without knowledge. During this coronavirus online, there's so many people saying things that are, if you eat coconut, you'll be saved from the virus. And I'm like, well, you better go tell the hospitals in New York, they better get some more coconut, because people seem to be dying. And so just this kind of talk is dangerous for people to just go and speak. And so you have like Facebook, I think WhatsApp as well. They blocked people from forwarding messages to stop the spread of falsehood, which is people speaking without knowledge. It's really, really hard. Even the newspapers are like, don't spread false information. And then the newspaper's like, there's some promising information about a new test that happened and stuff like that. I'm like, the newspaper, please follow your own advice. Just, report numbers, but don't try to tell us medical stuff because you're not a doctor. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, you don't want to say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves something or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't love something unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that. So, and saying this from your own opinion, just because you don't like something, doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't like something. Sometimes I find people, I was doing one thing in a class where I'd make the students go shout out loud. And I saw this kind of like religious person, and I could see in his mind that he didn't like what I was doing. And I could see his eyes searching for some sort of proof to tell me that this wasn't permissible. And then in my mind, I'm like, look, you already made your opinion up. And now you're just trying to find proof to back yourself up. That's not how this works. This is not how where we go first to the sources before we try taking our opinions and trying to justify it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, ولا تقولوا لما تصف ألسنتكم الكذب هذا حلال وهذا حرام هذا حلال وهذا حرام لتفتروا على الله الكذب إن الذين يفترون على الله الكذب لا يفلحون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقُولُوا, and do not say, لِمَا تَصِفُ أَلْسِنَتُكُمُ الْكَذِبِ, don't utter falsehoods by letting your tongues just determine at your own discretion, هَذَا حَلَالٌ وَهَذَا حَرَامٌ. Don't lie against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just by your own discretion or trying to think from your own thought that this is halal and this is haram, لِتَفْتَرُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبِ, attributing your own lying inventions to Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. Now, sometimes somebody will say, well, but my intentions were good. Intentions good isn't good enough. Because a person might be, people used to say something like they would lie against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when people would tell them, that's a lie. And then they would say this claim, I'm not lying against the messenger, I'm lying for the messenger. So, a'udhu billah. This person is saying I'm this person making up hadith to try to encourage people to do good deeds. So they'll say, whoever does such and such will have the reward of 70,000 prophets and 70,000 martyrs and 70,000. That's a lot of reward, bro. And just because they do what you told them to do, that's also lying, and that's forbidden. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam doesn't need us to lie to do something. So what I'm telling you is it goes both ways, whether you're trying to encourage people or whether you're trying to keep them away from something. Let me tell you two stories. When I was a little kid in Islamic camp, for those of you who like pancakes, I do not like pancakes. And when I was a little kid, I really disliked pancakes. I would self-vomit if I smelled pancakes. I don't like pancakes. So I was going to this Islamic camp. I was going to an Islamic camp, Muslim camp, as a little kid, and I told the teacher there or one of the organizers, Sister Shahina, in Winnipeg. For those who know Winnipeg, she's a great pillar of the community. I told her that I'm allergic to pancakes. I said to her, what? I said, I'm allergic to pancakes. Allergic is different than I don't like. So she said to me, I remember as a little kid looking up at Sister Shahina, Auntie Shahina, and she said, is it that you're really allergic to pancakes or you just don't like it? And so I was confused by the question. So I said, you know what? If I tell her that I don't like it, then she's going to make me eat it. So I said to her, no, allergic. And so I think she got the message that I just meant I don't like it. So I want to share with you that story because when it comes to Islam, you have to distinguish between something that you don't like versus something that you're claiming Allah doesn't like. Do you understand the difference? You have to distinguish between something that you don't like versus claiming that Allah doesn't like this. And this happens a lot with people who are, if there's two factions, you're on one faction, you're from the Bloods and they're from the Crips, you're from the Reds, they're from the Blues and stuff. In those kind of situations, a lot of times we say things because we don't like it. Oh, this person is a deviant or this person is this and that. But because we don't like them or they're not part of our group, but that doesn't mean that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes or dislikes likes or dislikes something. I will finish off with a lesson that I learned from a great teacher that I had in Medina, and he passed away recently. So he was an Usul al-Fiqh teacher. Usul al-Fiqh is like basically how does Islamic jurisprudence or laws come to be? What are the principles? What is the foundation of how laws come to be? So there was a student in our class who knew all the controversial opinions of our teacher, and every time question and answer would come up, the student would ask the teacher one of these controversial opinions that he has. And we would wait for him to tell us, to ask the teacher. So one of the controversial opinions that our teacher had, and this in Medina, is that he did not, so in Saudi Arabia, they believe that smoking is haram. They believe that smoking is haram, forbidden, and that Allah hates it. So this teacher, who's teaching in Medina, Usul al-Fiqh, and he's one of the great teachers in our university, his opinion was that smoking is makruh. Smoking is disliked. So one of the students asked him, teacher, we heard that you say that smoking is not haram, but that smoking is makruh. And I'll never forget this teacher, Sheikh Al-Amin, he was very old. He was old at that time. Or maybe he wasn't as old. I just assumed that he was old. He passed away now, rahimahullah. He got so angry, and he got angry for about 20 minutes. I was like counting. He was angry for about 20 minutes. And he says, how dare you say that I lied against Allah or I claimed that Allah didn't like something. So he was so angry, but you know what he was angry about? He wasn't angry. He was angry that the student said that the teacher said that smoking was makruh. He was angry because he himself said that I dislike it. That's my personal opinion, but I would never say that Allah dislikes it. Do you see what I'm saying? So he was angry that somebody would associate the ruling of makruh to him. And that's claiming that Allah dislikes it. He said, I never said that Allah doesn't dislike it. The reason that I wanted to show you that is when it comes to makruh, people like Allah dislikes something, Allah likes something, dislikes, hates, all of these things, that it's such an arrogant thing to do and a very dangerous thing to go about. And so our attitude should always be, Allah knows best. What does this mean? I don't know, and neither do you. When I see videos of people saying, oh, pandemic is because look at this political situation, look at what happened in the news yesterday, I was like, how do you know that? How do you know those things? How do you know those intentions? You don't know, so just humble yourself and say, I don't know, but I personally have a connection with this political situation. I would like, or I think, or I have feelings, but that has nothing to do with Allah's intentions. It has nothing to do with Islam. It's just my opinion. That's what the person needs to be saying. So when you see these doom and gloom type of lectures, that's what you really got to be asking your question. Just because you don't like pancakes doesn't mean that Allah doesn't like pancakes. Allah Ta'ala Alam. So as Ramadan comes along, Ramadan is a time where everybody likes to jump into the fatwa swimming pool. And everybody likes to I got a fatwa, moon sighting, moon fighting, and all of that stuff. And so I would love for your attitude to be that Allah knows best. I don't know. I really don't know. So when somebody says to me, what's your opinion on this? I'm like, I don't know. It's not my thing. I don't know. Well, how you deal with the moon sighting issue, and I usually do a video just about this every year, is you don't want to ask yourself, how is the moon sighted? You want to ask, who is the legal authority in your community who can decide this matter? Who decides this matter? Who is the legal authority in the community that decides this matter? And then they're the ones who will decide it. Whether that's, maybe you have a council of imams in your city, or if you're in a Muslim country, they have their councils that decide when the moon is sighting. Believe me, you don't have to be involved in that whatsoever. All you just really have to ask yourself the question is, who is the leader in my vicinity who makes this decision? That's what you need to decide, and then just go with what they say. And it's a done deal. Wallahu alam. So bottom line, take action. As Ramadan comes along, get more in the habit of recognizing, just like you recognize when people are talking about the virus and they don't know, also recognize when people are speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they don't know, and it's just their feelings and their opinions, and we don't need any of that stuff. Wallahu alam. Anybody got a question? Anybody got a question? We're done. Rabina says, you don't like because I think you like savory food better than sweet stuff. 100%. Chips versus chocolate bar, I would take the chips, but sometimes I like chocolate bars. Sometimes. As long as it's not too chocolate. Amanda says, what's the appropriate attitude towards this matter? What should one do when facing hardship, if not blaming God? Thank you, Amanda, for your question. So if a person is facing hardship, so let's put it like this, Amanda. Is it that we only thank God when we have money and we're in the good times? If that's the case, then only rich people should be thanking God, because poor people, well, they didn't get anything, so it's God's fault. And if that's the case as well, then only healthy people should be thanking God and worshiping God, because sick people, well, they didn't get good health, so sorry, they shouldn't worship God. And it goes on and on like that. Our worship of God isn't correlated to getting stuff. So when a person goes through a difficult time in their life, goes through a hardship, and sometimes I see a person kind of like turning towards blaming God. Number one, I'm talking, you don't know the intentions. They turn towards blaming God. I feel so sad, because I'm like, this is your darkest hour of your life, and you're trying to take God out of the equation. You're trying, like, who do you have left if you have no one to turn to except Allah, except God? And so I'm like begging and pleading, don't cut off, because the only person that can help you in this darkest hour is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Berivan, I don't know what you started your question with but. So I don't know what that but is connected to. Like you're negating something, so I don't know what that means. Okay, so Asmat says, when things go wrong or not the way you plan, like the bus issue you mentioned, does it really mean it's because we're dumb? So Asma, I just wanted to clarify. So I'm not saying everybody is dumb and every time something doesn't work out, it's because it's dumb. I just want to emphasize that when people really, I get the attitude of, maybe it's because you're dumb, because I associate that with the attitude of claiming to know what Allah's intentions are and saying it as if it's a fact. So a person says, and I loved, just when I asked that question, you saw how many intentions came up. And they're all different. One says it's a punishment. One says Allah doesn't want you to go there. One person says, I'm like, look, what's dumb is assuming that you know what the intention of Allah is and you don't. So what you want to do is always look for, well, how can I get better? Like a istikhara type of dua. If this is good for me, make it easier for me. And if it's bad for me, then keep me away from it. If I missed the bus, then I would tell myself, you know what, I need to wake up earlier next time. I need to maybe deal with this, with why am I scared of going to this class, such and such, and just deal with it. But I will not make claims against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will turn it back towards myself. And for those of you, we are done now. I'm just taking questions. But for people who want to know the question about the marmalade, what did Marmalade say when she found herself facing a difficult problem? What did Marmalade say when she found herself facing a difficult problem? She said, "Looks like we're in a jam." Oh, let's see, Maheen. Okay, how can we deal with that family member who blames God for his loss? Maheen, Sheikh Umar Sulaiman has a course on Prophet Ayyub. On Ayyub alayhi salam. And Ayyub alayhi salam, I actually learned it from Shaykh Umar Sulaiman when he taught it for the first time, about how Ayyub alayhi salam was, whether he had wealth or he didn't, whether he had good health or he didn't, whether he had a large family or he lost family members, Ayyub alayhi salam continued to worship Allah. And it might be, Maheen, if you go to Shaykh Umar Sulaiman's course, I believe Al-Maghrib Institute is teaching, I think it's on demand, meaning you might be able to get access to it and look at what do you learn from the story of Prophet Ayyub alayhi salam in order to help a family member who is basically blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their loss. In situations like that, like I gave you this example of, somebody I knew that was in a really dark place and they were blaming God, blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this situation. They're like, how could God do this and whatnot? And my response is, is it only rich people that worship God? Only healthy people worship God? Only, you get the idea that only when God gives you what you want, is that the only time you worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the answer is, no, that's not. So that's a logical argument, but there's also other things, which is they're feeling emotional. So you want to turn them back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this question, I'll remind you guys, Visionary Ramadan is coming around the corner. When it comes, visionaryramadan.com. How can we boost up someone's faith when they're making dua, but their dua is not accepting? So Rahila, what I say about accepting, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers all du'as. Whether it's yes and you get what you ask for, or yes, but not right now, so you get it later, or yes, but I have something better for you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Hakim, the all-wise, and Al-Alim, the all-knowing. So if I make dua for something and my focus is on making the dua, making the prayer, my focus isn't so much on I need to get that thing, I need to get that thing, I need to get that thing. My focus is on the experience and the journey of making that dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it doesn't turn out, if it's not the first way, which is I get exactly what I ask for, I have this positive expectancy that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Al-Alim, Al-Hakim, that His knowledge of what I need is better than my knowledge. Allah and His Messenger know best, as the companions would say, Allahu wa Rasuluhu alam. And so I have this positive expectancy, or I might tell myself, well, what do I need to change in my life to be able to embrace and accept the have this dua answered in my life. And I'd also, give you one last point, Rahila, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and if you were to count the blessings of Allah upon you, you would never be able to. You wouldn't be able to count the blessings. So when one person says, oh, I didn't get this one thing that I prayed for, like, look, every blessing in your life is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have a million blessings: your eyesight, your health, your family, your shelter, you have all these things. And then this person's like, no, I need citizenship to go to Canada and it hasn't come through yet. And then they're like, okay, now I don't believe in God. Like, what? What is that? It doesn't make sense. Peppa Pig. Fahmida, great question. I'll be done at half after the hour, inshallah ta'ala. Nowadays, so many invitations of Islamic classes are confusing me. What should I do? So I actually wrote an Islamic studies curriculum long time ago. And my argument was that when people pick and choose classes on their own, they're designing an Islamic studies curriculum on their own, which is it's basically asking everybody to be an Islamic studies curriculum designer. But that's the life we live in. Everybody's just picking and choosing different things that they want to attend. So if you don't take it too seriously, then just attend classes that you're interested in. For now, just attend classes that you're interested in. When you want to get more serious and structured, then you might say, hey, let me follow a curriculum from an institute that I respect, and so on. So, Al-Maghrib Institute. Trina says, this may be a dumb question. There's no such thing as a dumb question, only dumb people. I've been trying to lose weight for... No, I'm joking. I don't even know what that means. I've been trying to lose weight for a while and have had some success. Then the pandemic happened and I've slipped. Is it wrong that one of the reasons I'm happy about Ramadan is as a reset to my healthy habits, inshallah ta'ala? Someone told me this is wrong to have this. So it's interesting. Based on what we talked about today, somebody told you that Allah is saying that your thought is wrong. And so, great example, I would say to them, well, how do you know Allah's intentions? How do you know? And then they were like, well... So you would say, Trina, I would say to the person, maybe it's better that you say that you yourself don't like it, but don't go around telling people that Allah doesn't like it. Okay, so someone told me that this is wrong for me to have this thought. Of course, it's not the only reason I'm looking forward to Ramadan, but is it true to be one of them? Jazakallah khair. So Trina, Wallahu a'lam, here's the thing. You want your intention when you go for a worship, it's to worship Allah. Now the worship, Allah commands us to do these worships because they are a benefit to us. They are of benefit to us. As the Prophet ﷺ said, Sumu tasihhu, fast and you will become healthy. So, just a response to whoever your friend was that told you this, the Messenger of Allah said, when you fast, you become healthy. Or even if somebody has an addiction, they need to lower their gaze and pornography and stuff like that. Prophet ﷺ said, whoever amongst you is able to get married, they should. And if not, then they should fast. So somebody might approach their fasting with the good intention that, hey, I want to lower my gaze. or I want to deal with my addiction. So your thought is not wrong. The only thing, where it would show up is when a person doesn't hope for the reward of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, doesn't hope for the reward. What that means is like, I heard somebody say this. They went for Hajj and they were like, I don't really care about the reward. I'm just here like as a tourist. And I was like, that's messed up. Where a person doesn't hope for the reward for their worship and they're just there because they want to see the sights and stuff like that. That person should, their intention should be for the worship and a secondary, hey, and I'd love to see Mecca, I'd love to see the Kaaba and all of these good things after that. And that's it. We're done, my friends. Jazakumullah khairan to everybody who tuned in. Inshallah ta'ala, we have got so Seema is saying, inshallah ta'ala, I am planning to do some reminders. I think this daily huddle has been really nice. Sometimes when I'm teaching Visionary during Ramadan, it's hard to maintain daily reminders and teach the class and stuff like that. But we'll see what we'll do. We'll be doing something, inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu alam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tune in tomorrow, inshallah, at 2:55 New York time, where we will see whether we'll hit the number first or the top of the hour. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.